Everyone in the town of Briar Hollow swore they never talked about the Conjoined brothers, not because they feared punishment, but because every person who ever whispered their names after midnight died in their sleep. 2 brothers. Born fused at the spine, raised in a house that shouldn't have existed, married their own sisters, impregnated them, and then disappeared after a single night of screaming that no one in the valley ever forgot. But the strangest part, the house they lived in, the rotting structure on Ashfallow Road, still moans. A low, wet, rattling groan that rises only when the moon turns red, as if something still inside is trying to breathe. Tonight, we enter that house again. We open the doors everyone else has nailed shut. We walk into the life of 2 brothers who were never meant to live, and 2 sisters who were never meant to survive them. Welcome to one of the darkest, most horrifying stories buried in rural American history. A story that Briar Hollow will always deny, because admitting it means accepting that something like this could really happen. And it did. In 1894, Dr. Elias Greeley delivered a pair of twins that made him drop his scalpel. Their names were Jonah and Silas Carrion, and they were born fused back to back from the waist up, 2 torsos, 2 heads, 2 sets of arms, but sharing a single pelvis and pair of legs. A grotesque symmetry, a moving contradiction of nature. A living mistake. Their father, Amos Carrion, called them a, quote, gift from hell, and locked them in the cellar for the first 8 years of their lives. Neighbors often heard the boys screaming through the floorboards, screams that didn't sound like pain, but like hunger. The townspeople would later swear that even as children, the brothers behaved like one mind split across 2 bodies. Jonah would finish Silas's sentences. Silas would laugh when Jonah cried. They always stared in different directions, but always spoke with the same intention. By 13, they were more beasts than boys. Amos finally let them out, but not for kindness. He needed workers, and the fused pair plowed fields with a strength no normal man could match. Their shared pelvis created a low, powerful center of gravity. Their 2 sets of arms carved through soil like blades. But when they turned 17, Amos started locking his bedroom door at night. Because something was changing in the brothers. Something dark. Something that made even their father sleep with a rifle. Amos Carrion had 4 daughters. Only 2 survived past childhood. Lydia, age 19, quiet, pale, observant. Marin, age 17, bold, sharp, always suspicious. The girls wanted nothing to do with their brothers, but their mother's death left them under Amos's control. Soon the father began insisting the sisters spend more time with Jonah and Silas. Family should be close, he'd say. He always smiled when he said it, but the smile never reached his eyes. Lydia and Marin hated being near the brothers. Their whispered conversations, their strange way of breathing in unison, their habit of staring in 2 different directions but somehow focusing on the same thing. But the girls obeyed until the night they discovered something horrifying in the barn. A nest, made of blankets, rope, and shredded dresses. And in the nest were drawings, dozens of them, crudely sketched by Jonah and Silas. Drawings of the sisters. Pregnant, nursing children with 2 heads. Children with too many limbs. Children crawling out of the walls. There were also drawings of the brothers themselves, towering, monstrous, fused with the sisters in ways no human body could endure. Lydia vomited. Marin burned the drawings, but the brothers never forgot them. On August 11, 1894, the town heard the Carrion farmhouse bells ringing at midnight. Amos had rung the bell himself. He stood on the porch with a shotgun shouting, "Tonight they marry! Tonight the bloodline stays strong!" The townspeople didn't know what he meant, nor did they dare approach the farm. Inside the house, the brothers waited in the kitchen, one facing north, one south. Their breaths synced. Their pulses synced. Their eyes, though pointing different directions, glowed with the same feverish excitement. The sisters were forced into white dresses their mother once wore. Amos handed Lydia to Jonah. He handed Marin to Silas. And in a ritual no law, no religion, no culture could ever justify, he married them. The vows were spoken in whispers. The candles flickered violently despite there being no wind. And the moment the rings were placed, the farmhouse doors slammed shut on their own. Some say the house itself approved the unions. Others say something inside the brothers awoke that night. Something not entirely human. What happened next, even the sisters didn't fully remember. Only the screaming. Hours and hours of screaming. Not from fear, but from pain. 2 months after the weddings, Lydia fainted in the garden. The doctor confirmed what the brothers had intended all along. She was pregnant. So was Marin. The doctor tried to tell Amos the fetuses were developing strangely, too fast, too large, with bones forming where bones shouldn't. But Amos shut him up with the barrel of a gun. The brothers were ecstatic. Silas whispered to Jonah, "It worked," Jonah whispered back. "We will be whole." The sisters cried every night. Their stomachs swelled unnaturally, painfully. The unborn children kicked too hard. Sometimes the kicks came from the wrong directions. From their ribs, from their backs, from deep inside their hips. The brothers would crawl into the sisters' rooms at night and place their ears against their bellies, listening with twisted adoration. "Soon," they whispered, "in one body, we will all be one." By the 7th month, the pregnancies were killing the sisters. Lydia could barely breathe. Maren couldn't walk. Amos refused to let them rest. He forced them to keep working the farm, dragging them outside in the hot sun, screaming that strong babies must come from strong mothers. Jonah and Silas followed the sisters everywhere, watching, whispering, planning. But one evening, while carrying water, Lydia collapsed again. This time, she didn't get up. Her pulse slowed. Her breath rattled. Amos demanded she be taken to the cellar, the same cellar where the brothers had grown up. He claimed the births must happen where the bloodline began. Neighbors later said they heard chanting, metal clanging, and the sound of something heavy dragging across the stone floor. But the worst sound? The sisters begging for help. Then, abruptly, nothing. 3 days later, the bell rang again, but this time it rang without a hand touching it. Concerned, the sheriff rode out to the carry-on farm with 2 deputies. The front door was open. The entire house smelled like copper and decay. Inside the cellar, the deputies found a sight that scarred them for life. Amos Carrion lay dead in the corner, throat torn out. Lydia lay beside him, her belly cut open from the inside. Her unborn child had clawed its way out. Maren lay slumped against the wall, staring blankly, still alive but delirious, muttering, "They wanted one body, one soul, one birth." And Jonah and Silas? Gone. All that remained was a trail of blood leading out the shattered cellar window toward the woods. A trail with 2 sets of footsteps and 1 set of drag marks. The brothers had escaped. Together. Always together. And something else had escaped with them. Something that was still dripping. Something that cried like a newborn, but moved like a crawling animal. For weeks, the sheriff organized search parties. They found shredded clothing, strange tracks, and trees with claw marks 8 feet above ground. Then a traveling preacher reported seeing something in the woods near Briar Creek. 2 young men fused together carrying a creature wrapped in a blanket. A creature with too many limbs. The brothers were whispering to it, rocking it, feeding it something raw and red. When the preacher tried to approach, the fused pair turned their heads in opposite directions, but their eyes locked onto him at the same time. He ran until his lungs nearly burst. After that night, no one ever saw the brothers again. But the screams continued, sometimes heard deep in the woods, sometimes right outside a window, sometimes beneath the floorboards of the very houses where the children slept. The brothers never stopped searching for more family. And they never stopped multiplying. More than a century later, hikers still disappear around Briar Hollow. Campers report hearing 2 voices whispering in opposite directions, murmuring lullabies to something that gurgles like an infant. And on foggy nights, locals swear they can see shadows moving in pairs. 2 heads, 4 arms, 1 body, carrying something that cries. The Carry-On brothers never died, because their children never stopped growing, and their bloodline never stopped spreading. Every generation, 1 more set of twins goes missing. Every generation, someone hears the lullaby. And every generation, 2 voices whisper in the dark, always in perfect harmony. Family should stay close.